Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling emotionally exhausted, even though nothing dramatic happened? No yelling. No obvious insult. No visible conflict. And yet, something inside you felt unsettled. That quiet discomfort is often where emotional abuse begins. Not with intensity. Not with chaos. But with subtle shifts that slowly change how you see yourself. Emotional abuse doesn't usually arrive wearing the label abuse. It comes disguised as humor, as honesty, as concern, as love. And because it's subtle, you don't immediately defend yourself. You adapt. At first, it's small. A comment about your intelligence. A joke about your appearance. A subtle comparison to someone better. Everyone laughs. So you laugh too. But later, replaying it in your mind, something feels wrong. Instead of thinking, that wasn't okay, you think, why did that bother me? That's the shift. Your focus moves from their behavior to your reaction. And that's how self-doubt begins. Healthy criticism feels supportive. It's specific, respectful, and meant to help you improve. Toxic criticism feels personal, repetitive, diminishing. It sounds like, I'm just being honest. Someone has to tell you the truth. You're too sensitive. But honesty without empathy is not honesty. It's aggression without accountability. Over time, repeated negative remarks about your personality, abilities, or decisions begin to shape your internal dialogue. Their voice becomes your inner critic. And slowly, your confidence decreases. Not because you're incapable, but because you're constantly being repositioned as inferior. One of the most confusing aspects of emotional abuse is unpredictability. They can be incredibly warm, attentive, affectionate, loving. You feel deeply connected. Then suddenly, distance, cold responses, irritability, short answers, no explanation. You search for the mistake. Your nervous system activates. You become more careful. You try harder. This pattern is called intermittent reinforcement. It's psychologically powerful because it keeps you emotionally invested. You're not trying to win them over. You're trying to get back to safety. And when warmth returns, it feels like relief, not love. That relief strengthens the bond, even if the bond is unhealthy. As the pattern continues, something changes inside you. You start monitoring their mood before speaking. You rehearse conversations in your head. You filter your opinions. You hesitate before expressing needs. You shrink your personality to avoid conflict. This hypervigilance is exhausting. But you don't call it abuse. You call it being careful. However, in healthy relationships, you don't have to earn emotional safety. You don't have to calculate every word. You don't feel tension during calm moments. If your body feels anxious around someone, even during silence, that is information. Silence can be healthy when used for reflection. But silence used as punishment is control. When someone withdraws affection, attention, or communication to regain dominance, they're teaching you something. Connection is conditional. You begin associating obedience with peace. And over time, you adjust your behavior to avoid emotional withdrawal. This creates imbalance, not partnership. One of the most destabilizing tactics is reality manipulation. You clearly remember something that was said. They deny it. You describe how you felt. They tell you you're exaggerating. You confront an issue. They redirect blame. Gradually, your certainty weakens. You start saying things like, maybe I'm remembering it wrong. Maybe I misunderstood. This is gaslighting. And it damages more than the moment, it damages your trust in yourself. When you can't rely on your perception, you rely on theirs. And that dependence creates vulnerability. If the points so far in the video were helpful to you, hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe, so you don't miss any useful tips about psychology, personal growth, and mental well-being. Threats don't always sound violent. Sometimes they sound like withdrawal. Maybe I should just leave. I don't need this. I can find someone else. When these statements are used repeatedly during conflict, they are not expressions of fear. They are leverage. The message becomes clear. Your security depends on compliance. Fear of abandonment becomes a tool. And love becomes conditional. If emotional abuse is harmful, why don't people leave immediately? Because it doesn't start harmful. It starts confusing. Your brain prefers a painful certainty over an uncertain loss. This is cognitive dissonance. When the person you love behaves in ways that hurt you, your mind tries to protect the attachment. You minimize. They're stressed. They didn't mean it. They had a bad day. You cling to the good moments. You replay the affectionate phases. You tell yourself it's temporary. Hope becomes the glue. But confusion is what keeps you stuck. Emotional abuse changes your internal landscape. You may notice increased anxiety, lower self-esteem, difficulty making decisions, constant apologizing, fear of expressing disagreement. You may feel smaller in social situations, less confident at work, more dependent on validation. You don't collapse overnight. You gradually shrink. And the scariest part? You might think this version of you is just who you are now. It isn't. It's adaptation. Clarity is the beginning of power. Start by naming behaviors accurately. Not "they're just moody." But "that was dismissive. That was manipulative. That crossed a boundary." Language organizes experience. And once you see patterns, you can stop internalizing them. You can express your needs. You can communicate calmly. But you cannot convince someone to value you if undervaluing you benefits them. Some people don't misunderstand you. They understand and choose not to change. At that point, protecting your energy becomes more important than explaining yourself. Isolation strengthens unhealthy dynamics. Connection weakens them. Speak to someone safe. A therapist. A trusted friend. A support group. When someone reflects your experience back to you without distortion, your confidence begins to return. Validation repairs what confusion damaged. A boundary is not a request. It is a decision. Not, "Please don't talk to me like that." But, "If you speak to me like that, I will leave." And then you follow through. Boundaries feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're not used to asserting them. But discomfort is not danger. It is growth. Perhaps the deepest healing is relearning how to trust yourself. Your body often detects emotional harm before your mind rationalizes it. If something feels off, pause. Notice it. You don't need immediate proof to validate discomfort. You need awareness. Over time, small acts of self-alignment rebuild confidence. Speaking honestly. Leaving when disrespected. Saying no without explanation. Each action strengthens your identity. Emotional abuse is not always dramatic. It doesn't always leave visible scars. But its psychological impact is real. You deserve relationships where you feel Emotionally safe. Consistently respected. Free to express yourself. Secure without fear. If you've been feeling drained around someone. If you've been shrinking to maintain peace. If you've been doubting yourself more than usual. That discomfort deserves attention. Ask yourself. What have you normalized that once would have hurt you deeply? What have you excused in the name of love? And what would change if you chose stability over intensity? Healthy love does not confuse you. It does not destabilize you. It does not require you to abandon yourself. If something inside you is waking up while hearing this, listen to it. That voice is not weakness. It is awareness returning. And awareness is the first step toward freedom.
Thank you for staying with us until the end of the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support us.